I can see a lot of things. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Rundown with Lou. As you already know, these are the 5 biggest topics of the week with my panelists. And let me introduce these fellas real quick so we can jump into it right away. First up, I have Mr. JVS Supercell 0320. Sam Lickett. What's going on, sir?
What's up, bro? Thanks for having me, man.
Next up, I have the second half of Lou and Mo, the lesser half, I should say, creator of Earth 2 Comic Cast. And for some odd reason, this brother is posing like he's in someone's GQ photo shoot, looking like the perfect Halloween model right now. Mr. Mo Hamed Crosby. What's going on,
hi,
sir?
I didn't see you guys over there. How's it going, Lou? Thanks for having me.
See what I mean? See what I mean? Last but not least, I have my producer for this show and my co-star on our Power Review, which we do every week at Sunday at 3 a.m. in the morning for some reason.
So by the way, I'm up at 3, not you.
Hey, man, everybody can check it out at 3 in the morning if you want a Power Review. We hit it right after the show ends. We hit that Power Review, Joe. What's going on next year?
What's up, Lou? So, by means, let's just say that it's 12 o'clock Western time, okay?
Wow, that makes it sound better, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So, quickly jumping to the topics. For our first topic is the 2020 Emmy Awards. Now, this year, the Emmys, which was the first virtual Emmys ever held, we had some groundbreaking and monumental moments. First off, we had the most Emmys awarded to Black actors ever. We had a huge upset by Zendaya winning Best Actress and a little show called Schitt's Creek. And yes, I said that right. I know it sounds bad, but that is the name of the show. Schitt's Creek sweeps the Comedy Awards. So, gentlemen, I'm going to start with you, Sam. What is your biggest takeaway from the 2020 Emmys?
Well, first off, the Schitt's Creek, I'd never actually seen it before. It's just weird that the father and the son both won Emmys. I don't think that's ever happened before. Can you guys confirm that, whether a father and the son won Emmys for the same show during the same exact? I don't think that's ever happened before.
That sounds super rare.
I believe it was the first time that a father and son duo won Emmys for the same program in the same night.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I knew Eddie Murphy was going to kind of win that award. I mean, I'm happy for him or whatever. My biggest turnout and happiness was really about Watchmen, honestly. Like, I was really happy that Regina King got recognized. I was really glad that episode 6 of The Watchmen specifically got recognized because I felt like that was the best well-written episode. And it was like a fish out of water. It's one of the best directed or written episodes of any show I've seen in the past 3 years, honestly. So I think that both of those were merited. I am surprised that Yahya won over Javon. I thought that Javon had a way better performance in the one episode that he was in. And then I actually am a little surprised that Killing Eve didn't get anything for season 3. But to be fair, it wasn't as good as the other 2 seasons. And then Succession, I just need to see it. I haven't seen it. You guys have been raving about it.
I don't know how that's humanly possible that you have not seen the best
show.
How
many shows I done seen, bro. Like, I can't keep up, dog. It's way too much. It's way too much, man.
All right, so Mr. Crosby, what is your biggest takeaway from the 2020 Emmys?
The upset of the night. Zendaya winning that award. I'm happy she won it. I'm happy for her.
I just feel the shade coming on, but go ahead. Keep on going.
I'm happy for her. Was it deserved?
Euphoria is a great show. It's a really good show.
Is a great show. I don't know if she elevates the show to what the status of the show. I think she's a part of a well-oiled machine.
So Mo, who would you have picked out of the 6, which was the person that plays Villeneuve, Jodie Comer, Sandra Oh in Killing Eve, I think Olivia Colman in The Crown, Jennifer Aniston in The Morning Show, and Laura Linney in Ozark. Who would you have picked over Zendaya?
Have you seen The Morning Show?
Oh nah. You know what? I'm jumping in. Nope. Sam, wish you had asked me that question because I have said numerous times how I love the morning show.
Thank you very much.
I absolutely loved it, and I swear no one else said they liked it. But I will say that
I'm not gonna lie, it's not a good show. But go ahead.
I like to think Jennifer Aniston is worth that award for the morning show.
She's a powerhouse in the category, but Euphoria. When you think about, first of all, I'm not gonna take your answer, but Euphoria is an amazing show, and Zendaya absolutely deserved that because her performance alone kept you really invested each and every week. I am, and I think, here's the thing about it too is that I feel like that show resonates through different age different demographic and age groups. It's something we're a little bit more accustomed to because a lot of us came up around that nature and culture, but I felt like that story, that series did a good job. It really exploiting what's happening in that demographic to all age groups. That everybody was able to really invest into it.
Away from the story is important. Her co-star to me is way more impressive. I again, I'm happy for her. So you know what? I'll just leave my answer there. I'm happy for the Zendaya. Schitt's Creek, I was really excited for it because I think I didn't think they were gonna sweep, but all the awards they won, I think they earned it. Yeah. I'm not
gonna let your shade just go by there without no issue. You basically. Let's just say that Jennifer Aniston has no business being mentioned with Zendaya in this category. Not in this category. Not for her performance. Not for her performance in the show. She has no business being mentioned there with her. Now, if you could give me someone else, the actress from Succession, I may have, but she was more of a supporting character anyway. Wow. Yeah. I will say this, the lack of a better term, the white media may tell you that Zendaya was a surprise. I couldn't possibly go into this Emmy season and see someone beating her out for Best Actress.
I'll wait till it's my turn.
I don't know. But go ahead. Go ahead, Nate. I'll let you go because clearly
I'll say this. That all these series that's been nominated here were all amazing. The Crown, Euphoria, The Morning Show. All these series are definitely worth watching. So, everybody nominated, without a doubt, definitely deserves a seat at the table. What's the surprise is that when we are the tradition of how and what gets selected is what makes Zendaya a surprise here because she absolutely carried Euphoria up and down. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the performance is so good. And I always tell people, and I say this all the time, you can tell somebody's acting their ass off when you cannot see any similarities between them and Rose. So Zendaya in Spider-Man and in that are completely two different people. And she does such a good job in the series. She's almost different people in each and every episode because of, if you've seen the show, which I don't want to spoil it, but the character deals with drug use. And when you see that, it gets so real that it almost becomes traumatizing to you because it almost feels like you're about to lose a friend. And that's how good she did. And I'm not gonna take nothing for Jennifer Aniston because she does an amazing job in The Morning Show. The Morning Show was my favorite show of that season, like easily. But like Euphoria is amazing, and I can't wait for season 2. I'll just say this really quick for my answer for this is that Dave Chappelle keeping that same energy was my biggest takeaway because because we know how when he had the Netflix special that dropped, not the one he won awards for, but when he had the Netflix, yes, that dropped out of nowhere. He brought that energy that made the internet buzzing. He wins the award. He takes that same energy and says, "The Emmys, I don't care. This is who I am." And he's always been respected for being who he is. And even winning this award, which I don't think he's won since the 2000s or something. Since the last time he's won something. Mm-hmm. So forget all that, like I'm humble or whatever because I won. It's like, no, this is what it is. All the critics that had something to say, blah 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 blah. I'm not gonna repeat it for the show's sake, but like that was my biggest takeaway. That Dave Chappelle had the same energy despite winning the awards, and I appreciate that.
Okay, now Sam brought this up really quickly about Regina King. At this point, could we consider her queen of the Emmys? I mean, at this, it's what 5 years in a row that she's walked away with an Emmy. So it's almost like if you do a television show and you want to win an Emmy, put Regina King in it. And almost guaranteed you're going to win an Emmy. At what point do you think the Television Academy, the other actors, the studios should recognize Regina King as possibly the greatest television actress of our time?
I mean, why not now? Why not now?
Because
what?
I mean, I absolutely respect it. I'm not trying to go against the grain here on any accounts, but like I think big television companies, they just look at what's lucrative. Awards just means you did a good job, but like the worst actors sell. So you can be a good actor and just be good, and you just did the work. You know what I mean? Like the Robert Ory's of the world that go out there and they're fishing. No one goes out there and say they're in my top 5, but they do the work. You know what I mean? But
Regina King gets you views though.
But is she
at
lucrative?
This point,
is the question. Is what I think the higher ups look at is like, can we market this person to make money outside of just the awards? You know, I think
if you put Regina King on a show, people are gonna watch it. At this point,
it's so. I'm gonna try to chime in really quick. I think about Regina King and just how broadly versed her fan base really is. If you're just talking about the Boondocks alone, you know, like she is Huey and Riley. From a movie standpoint, if given the right material, she can nail it. And in terms of TV shows, like anything that she's really touched, she's been devoted to and just went for it. And now she's got like a film that's going to probably be nominated that she directed. I would think about her the same way I think about Giancarlo Esposito. Giancarlo, legit, anything he gets in, as far as TV is concerned, like it just get it. Like they hit every single time. And some actors are just that good because there's a lot of different people, you know, from a movie standpoint or a TV standpoint that go and work in the lanes and work sometimes, but she just continuously nails it. And at this point, I'm kind of looking at her like, yo, Regina, you might have got a leg up on Viola at a certain point because for the longest time, Viola was looked at in that same exact stature. And I mean, I don't know, man. I give it maybe a few more years. I think that to what Lucas is saying could come to fruition, in all honesty. It just depends on what she wants to do. Like, she's so classy that she might just be like, you know what? I'm just going to direct for a grip. You know, like, and just kind of be, you know, in a whole nother lane. She wants to be a well-rounded artist, and she doesn't want to let perception define who she is by anybody. Which I love. I love that about her.
Sam, I don't want to add a rebuttal for too long, but Sam, you're absolutely right here by a long shot. Like, that's it. And there's only one problem with that. America loves drama and they love controversy. And when you are up and down the board just right and you just do the work, people don't deem it as like popular, shall I say. And it's always got to be something that really draws people to want to look at them. And it's always got to be something that's sort of, I would say, kind of negative or like I said, controversial. So like she do the work and is awarded and is recognized by the ones who knows it's there. But like to the average judge, like, well, I don't know who that person is. I mean, God forbid if you didn't know she was in the Boondocks, but love the Boondocks. But how many people do you think are like that though?
I'll say this just to end this topic to move on to the next. If you didn't know she was in the Boondocks, that's fine. Perfectly fine. But you've had to seen American Crime.
Yes.
7 Seconds.
Yes.
Yeah. Watchmen. Like it, her portfolio at this point
the HBO show, the
Leftovers.
The Leftovers.
Like at this point, her portfolio is unmatched in television by anybody. So for me, she's the queen of television right now.
Thank you.
Until someone can outseat her and win an Emmy this many times in a row, not for the same show.
That's all I'm saying.
You know what, Mom? I'm not even gonna comment on that. We did a show for 5 years together, and you agree with me every day. But
no, I didn't.
On to the next topic.
There we go.
Yes, shout out to Tyler Perry and his powerful Emmy speech, and him being the most important Black man in the entertainment industry. But on to our next topic.
Oh shoot! Just dropped that. You ain't gonna talk about it.
Hey, none of y'all wanted to bring up Tyler Perry. I just assume it's because all y'all hate Tyler Perry. But it's fine.
We did a show. Come on, Lou, we did a show.
It's fine.
Lou, we did a show. You know we love Tyler Perry. Yeah.
Yeah, I can bring up. Our show is still on Spotify and Apple, iTunes. And you didn't have love for Tyler Perry, but it's perfectly fine there.
Cheap plug.
Now, on to our next topic. On Monday, it was announced that Microsoft has purchased Bethesda Studios for $7.5 billion in cash, changing the gaming landscape. Now, gentlemen, with all the IPs that are currently under Bethesda Studios, how do you see this deal working out for Microsoft? And I'm going to start with you, Najir.
Good. The answer's good here. I think, and I want to take credit for what you said, but, absolutely right. And some of the headlines that I read, but this absolutely enhances Microsoft's portfolio. And much like you said, this definitely puts a plan into perspective that Microsoft wants to now regain focus back into gaming. And I know people want to think that sounds like I'm just, or you, as you originally said, are just pulling that out of nowhere because they're dropping a new system. No, Microsoft Studios has not cared about gaming in the last of forever.
Exactly.
So this is another, I won't say it's a power play, but it is a flex because number one, Microsoft was just trying to be a player in the game and getting TikTok. That didn't work. Probably a good investment now, probably a good move now considering everything with TikTok. So they had money to blow, which they probably still got money to blow. And the fact that this deal was done as a cash offer was just a move that Microsoft still can do whatever they want, whenever they want. And claiming this studio, which is, local to us, is just staking again that they are back invested into the game industry and taking over Bethesda, but still just running overhead for them, just to be clear. So they're not claiming them. They're not making it a Microsoft Center or whatever you want to call it. They're just calling overhead up over it. And they're just, with going into the next generation of gaming, I think this is just a good move consumer-wise and for the fans. Bethesda has a ton of good games that we've all have liked over the years. And so with Microsoft, now claiming them, with them not really having any really unique titles specifically to Microsoft, especially going into the next generation, I think it's just a good move up and down the board. It's going to be interesting come 2021, which, Microsoft, I strongly feel is ready to make some more moves and noise in the gaming industry. So good for them.
Now, Mr. Crosby, what were your thoughts when you first heard about this deal?
Listen,
Microsoft
when I first heard it, I didn't believe it. Honestly, I thought it was like a troll. Like I thought it was a fake. Then then the headlines kept coming in. I'm like, yo, they're actually trying to make a move into, like as Najir said, they're trying to reestablish a footing or get a footing back in gaming. Now this opens up the PC gaming. This opens up console gaming because again, Microsoft. I wouldn't say Microsoft hasn't cared about gaming, but I don't think they've really cared about console gaming because PC gaming is still like top tier at the point, it's still like where every like real serious gamer is a PC gamer before a console gamer. And so Microsoft always has that dub. But in this now, with Microsoft splitting, themselves into PC and console, I think this is like a really, really good move for them. Because now, not only with all the titles you get from Bethesda, you get to actually control a lot of these titles. Whether, because again, they're not controlling Bethesda. They're not saying we're going to hold you, down. But it's Microsoft's game if they decide, hey, you know what, let's open this up to everyone, or let's just keep this as an exclusive. it's their game. Like they get to really do what they want, and it's fucking awesome. If you're a fan of Xbox, if you're a fan of PC gaming, you're sitting there and wondering what is Microsoft gonna do? How are these games gonna be split? Are we gonna get and I think it's gonna be very interesting moving forward, watching how this plays out in fruition. But I'm very interested in watching it. I didn't think I'd be interested in watching anything Microsoft would have done in gaming because again, hold on. I'm a fan of the Xbox. I don't have the exclusive JVS. I don't have the exclusive BGB. But
jeez, dude. Jeez.
Oh, don't worry about it, Mo. I'm still waiting on my exclusive JVS. But I haven't gotten that. Well, man, look, I'm still waiting on mine. And I understand.
Yeah. But no, like it's the Xbox console is out there. Whatever games you get. If you're a fan of the Xbox, you're gonna get. If you're a fan of Halo, you're gonna get the new Halo regardless. Well, you're gonna complain, but you're gonna get it. But now it's like Bethesda Gaming gives you a lot more options if they decide to hold a lot of those games to exclusives. If not, all the money's still going inside their pocket. So
I just want to add one quick thing. Microsoft Studios, no one cares about those games. Like no one does. Like people pretend like they care about Halo, pretend like they care about Gears of War, but Bethesda gives them a whole plethora of games that people care about. All of them. Doom just got brought back.
The question is, will they hold some of those as exclusives, or would they, share the wealth? Whichever way they decide to do it,
they make money.
Still money going to your exactly. So it doesn't even matter.
Well, then I'll pose this question to Mr. Leggett here. Do you believe this deal by Microsoft can possibly give them a leg up on Sony with both next-gen consoles launching this month?
So I think that personally, Microsoft does not care. I think that when they did that whole Bethesda thing in the way that they did it and the timing that they did it, it made me really terrified, honestly, of what they're capable of as a company and as a studio. Because the reality is this: they a few weeks ago just implemented what they were doing with the little console add-ons for like Androids and mobile, right? Then they implemented and just kind of shot out there, the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X, the price points, forcing Sony to kind of give a price point probably lower than what they were going to do. So they're making power moves there, right? And then adding innovation, kind of countering what, Nintendo's been doing for years. And then the biggest thing is this Game Pass. And I think that Lucas had kind of brought it up, but it made me start to really think. As soon as this Bethesda thing happened, I was like, you got every single one of these games that Bethesda's come up with, whether it be Elder Scrolls, whether it be Doom Eternal, whether it be even Dishonored, all these games are 9 and above. And as IPs, these are serious IPs. And honestly, they could be petty and be like, oh, we're just going to kind of focus in on this console war and just say, okay, these games are exclusive and kind of piss people off. Or they could be like, you know what? We're going to add these all to the Game Pass. And we're going to start implementing Game Pass throughout all the different systems, not just Xbox and PC. And if they did some craziness like that, bro, they could literally start to go, from different studios and purchasing them, but not tying them down and saying, okay, you got to exclusively be for Microsoft. No, we just want to make sure that this comes on our Game Pass. That's what we really need. And we'll back any kind of financial endeavors you want. If they go and they take Rockstar, right? For the new Rockstar's GTA 6. And they were like, look, we are going to purchase you guys. We want you to do this, but we really need you guys to front our Game Pass. And we're going to start to maneuver Game Pass in a way that we've never done before. Like, that's all it would take. And like, that's what really makes me afraid of this. This isn't a console war in there. They're not trying to please one set audience anymore. They're trying to please everybody. And they've been trying to really kind of do that for years. But now what they're doing now is they have it on every single front. The ball is really in their court more than they ever have, ever. And I think a lot of people will be looking at it because the console, like for me, I really do want a PlayStation. I get it. But this isn't checkers for them. This is really chess. They have a whole different narrative they're trying to really do with this that is going to change the industry moving forward. And that's if things stay the way they are and another person doesn't come into the game. Because if another studio or another company is like, we're starting our own game system, Xbox is already a part of the curve already. If they maneuver this Game Pass and whatever they're trying to do with the digital conversion across the board the right way. Because one of the things I've always wanted is I've wanted crossplay. And they've already added crossplay with, Xbox and PlayStation. I'm sorry, Xbox and PC. But if they started having some of these games that you could crossplay and play whatever console and play your different friends, that's a game changer, because that's what I've always wanted. As a gamer, I've wanted to be able to play my friends that are on Xbox and friends that are on PlayStation and friends that are on PC and make it comparable, make it competitive. And this pushes that narrative in a way that honestly, it never could have worked up until this point. But yeah.
Go ahead, Najee. I see you with your hand raised like you're in class.
Just really quick. No, to Sam thing there's definitely a few games I already got crossplay over all systems right now. And I play 2, Apex and Dead by Daylight. You can play each other on PC and on Xbox, PlayStation. So that's pretty cool. But the one thing that I'm very surprised that no one brought up, I had to think about this for a minute. I remember we were all talking during E3 and the biggest takeaways from it. And a lot of us was talking about Bethesda with Doom coming back. We kind of clowned Fallout because the game has been crap since it came out, and they admitted that it was bad and so on, and so many glitches. I've never seen somebody come up and say, all right, you all are right. The game is bad. It has too many glitches, whatever. But the biggest thing that Bethesda, which I felt stole the weekend, was them talking about Orion, which we have not talked about yet. Orion is their new cloud gaming strategy that makes it you're able to play games mobile seamlessly with no latency problems, which when you think about what many Bethesda wanted to do with this, cloud, we're talking about cloud now, and then you get Microsoft, who's like, "Oh, you're talking cloud,"
which already has one of the biggest cloud servers in the world.
Hello, and then what did Microsoft just do about a week ago, Sam? That you brought up the other day about mobile gaming and allowing you to play mobile gaming with your anywhere you are with your controllers of your choice. And it's fully compatible with Android and Apple devices.
Bro,
I'm sorry. This sounds like a blind date that went good to me.
So you think Microsoft approached Bethesda and said, "Hey, we know what you're trying to do with Orion. We have this. Come over." And it was like, "Sure."
I think, and I don't want to get too off tangent here, but I think Lucas said something about this before. But I know this is right, but this is what big companies do. They say, hey, we want to bring a bunch of investors or a bunch of people who wants to sell us things, and we'll give you a call back later. The next thing you know, we'll make our own version of it. I'm pretty sure they looked at Bethesda after the fall of TikTok, which is just booming out of the world. Well, some places, shall I say. And they said, this Orion thing, it killed the biggest gaming convention of the year. No one had nothing for that. And they probably was thinking, like, why didn't we think of that? Well, they're already ahead of it. Oh, well, we'll just buy them. Don't worry. And then with the pandemic happening, I'm pretty sure Bethesda's I don't know. I won't speak on it because you said something about it. But this is probably a good time for them to buy, and it just all works, So this Orion thing is going to get interesting going forward.
I'll say this in closing this topic and moving on to the next, especially with the Orion system that Bethesda is attempting to implement. I said before, all of the gaming in the cloud currently goes through Microsoft, including PlayStation. So as Sam said, if they really wanted to push their Game Pass idea along with the software currently being created by Bethesda, you combine those two together, and possibly with a buy of another huge studio like a Take-Two, which would cost them around $25 billion to buy, which we all know Microsoft has the money to do. That could change the way gaming is seen forever. At that point, it's no longer about the console you get, it's about the online services you get. And currently, Xbox Live is much better than any other online service. It's just a nice power move. Speaking of nice power moves or people pulling nice power moves, we got news over the weekend that Justice Ruth Gator Ginsburg passed away. Now, for you all out there who do not know who this person is, I would question you and everything about you if you did not know who this amazing woman is. She was appointed to the Supreme Court in 1993. Since that point, she has been a liberal standhold on the court. And her life, her story, was beautifully told in a movie called Best of Sexes that came out in 2019. Gentlemen, what do you all take away from the legacy of the notorious RBG? First, I'm gonna start with you, Mr. Crosby.
I love it. I mean, she's definitely a beacon. She's a light. She is a force. So a lot of people who have always
you had one more buzzword before I was gonna say something. Just one more. I'm gonna give you one more. I'm gonna give you one more buzzword before I say something. No, go ahead. Continue.
She's worth all the accolades she's ever gotten. She's definitely worth all the accolades she's ever gotten. She's fought for what she's always fought for. She stood for what she's always stood for. You know, if you were ever thinking of someone who's so steadfast in their beliefs and really gung-ho in pushing their beliefs around, she's one of them. And she honestly was someone, if or when I have a daughter, I'd be like, yo, you know, this is someone that I would think, you know, you should look up to, not necessarily be like, but someone you should look up to and not model yourself about. But is she someone who also like inspired? It's, you know, like, I mean, I am off the idea that the movie may have been a little like colorful with her history. And I'm not like gonna go off the movie and be like 100% sold on it, even though it's really good. But I'm not, you know, movies take liberties, and but you know, looking at her life in the past, I mean, everything she'd been through, the fight with everything she fought, like health wise and everything, and how she battled back and came back and sat back on her seat, you know, and everyone thought she was gonna make it out of 2020, and you know, lo and behold, just life is what it is. And so RIP to notorious RBG, but you know, she is what she is. Like, can't take, I'm not gonna take anything from her. You know, there are people who question a lot of things that she's done. I'm not one of them. So that's all I got for her. So glowing rave reviews from this side.
Well, clearly it is. Not a lot of buzzwords also. All right, Sam, what are your thoughts about the Justice?
Yeah, for me, I mean, she was an inspiration. I look at how many different people are not necessarily saddened by her passing, but just like inspired. They're kind of like looking at all her accolades, all she's done, what she stood for. It's kind of like when you think about a person's legacy and who they really are. And most of the time you look at the people around them and what they perceive them to be. And I think that every person I've kind of seen kind of speak up or talk, or whether it's on social media, the outpouring is exactly the same. It's not a fluctuation one way or another. Even in people that had issue with her, you know, this respect and understanding of who she actually is undeniable. And I think that that's one of the things that, from an inspirational standpoint, is like leaving a legacy of honor and like civility and understanding of human decency is what she was all about. And it is funny, like with most of the notorious RBG, I think that they said something like a law student kind of gave her that after a certain point. But I haven't seen the movie yet. I do want to see it. But I'm not saddened by her I'm not saddened by her gone. More so encouraged, and I'm more intrigued than anything of how she got to the place that she ended on. And it seemed as though she finished her race strong, which is weird. Most times you kind of like when somebody passes away, it's like, man, this is this downer moment. And it is, I mean, it's sad to see her go, but at the same time, it's not a time for like being depressed, but it's also a time to celebrate who she was.
Yes.
More than anything, I think that's one of the most that I've seen from unanimously everybody. But
I'm gonna let you close out here, Najir.
Yeah, well said, Sam. Again, both of y'all. I just think that she is a beacon of hope for everybody in humanity. She was somebody that if a lot more people stood for what she stood for, America would be in a better place. When you talk about equality, we talk about women's rights. She lived and died by that. And I'll say this too, like I was really moved by this Apple TV Plus series, Dear, and I would love for Apple to get this one going right now because she really is somebody that if you are not familiar with this, I mean, there's endless information and documents and et cetera about her, but like because this generation seems to have this short temporal attention span, Apple putting together something which they did a beautiful job of highlighting other really iconic figures in history. Putting together something for her here will just be spot on because she's done a lot. And having the Notorious as your moniker. I mean, the only other person, come on now. The only other person that's named the Notorious, two other people that's named the Notorious. Let's think about the company here. You have Notorious B.I.G. and then you have the Notorious Conor McGregor.
Wow, really? Twice.
Really?
Don't put Conor in the same sentence.
Listen to
his last couple.
I'm saying the company that nickname is in here is it just speaks like how much she's respected, and will definitely be missed. So, that was definitely a big loss to society. But goddamn, 2020, I tell you,
Don't speak on it, man. Don't say anything else about 2020.
Nothing else. That's it.
Yeah, don't.
Now, for people out there, if any reason you don't know much about the Notorious RBG, please check out again the movie Battle of the Sexes or her documentary that was released. I want to say, Sam, help me out here. Maybe was it 2019, 2018?
I think it was 2019.
Yeah, the doc is released on her. Two beautiful pieces of artwork that you can check out to learn even more about her, or perhaps shockingly pick up a book. They still exist, people. You can read one of them and read up
listen to
about
it.
her.
Sorry.
This new generation and listening to things that you can actually see with your eyes. That's perfectly fine.
Just listen to the book, man.
Now, moving from one great notorious person to another great person.
This one.
Mr. Yeezus himself, Kanye West.
For
the last week, Mr. West has been tweeting over and over and over again about the music industry and about equality in the music industry, breaking down contracts for people in the music industry for artists to finally get their worth. Now, gentlemen, we all know that Mr. West has either tweeted or done some outlandish things all 2020 that may have you questioning his sanity. But on this rant and this rant here, do you agree with Mr. West? And I'm going to start right back with Najir.
I love it.
I'm fine with that.
Dude.
I'm fine with that.
No. I'm just because thinking about this is so funny, dude. I'm not even gonna. This is probably definitely gonna be my shortest answer. Whoever put out that equation about him, and they were saying if A equal B, and if like A or B equals C, then you. Long story short, because I can't find a tweet, he signed up for this deal, and if he's so smart, then he should have never put ink to the contract. So everything he's trying to say right now is kind of like, but you got yourself into that. So I love Kanye, but I take him with a grain of salt. Like,
I'll give you a quick rebuttal here. The same thing he's saying is almost identical to what every music act says. And part of his issue is contracts that could be 5 pages long are 100 pages long, so much so that when you get lawyers, they can't even figure out these contracts. So is that a Kanye West issue, or is he right and it's a music industry thing where they try their best and their damnness to trick every artist out of their money, their royalties, and their worth? Keep in mind, we even had the great Prince walk around with a slave on his face and change his name because he couldn't get out of a record contract that had his name on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. I mean, that's why we have all these behind the music documentaries floating around, because people have been getting got for years. So yeah, I mean, yes, there's bad contracts out of there, but Kanye, ain't your big brother Jay-Z? You can't get proper representation of a lawyer when you're signing a contract? I'm not trying to hear it, bro.
I mean, his big brother sold his master so he could get his own masters back. So I can tell you. So, good. Sam, what are your thoughts on Mr. Ye versus the world?
Man, look, I'm gonna pray for that brother, man. Look,
that's the most JBS answer ever.
He's been going through it, man. He's been going through it for years. Real rap. Mental health is real, bro. Like, everybody technically right now is doing good to keep their sanity. You know, I think if we were still in quarantine, like hardcore quarantine, I think that things would be a lot worse for a whole lot of people, to be quite honest with you. And when it came to him, you know, I was happy for him that he kind of like started going back to rehab, started getting himself together mentally and emotionally. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, the more you are doing better, the more the limelight sheds on you. And then that's when the focus of your mental health goes. And instead it goes to pleasing people, and then it goes to yourself. And I think with him, it was just a downward spiral, man. It came from like the whole presidential thing, and then it went to like the music thing. And like, I mean, the boy, he really just needs some help. Like, he needs actual mental health, and he needs comprehensive understanding of what's going on around him, because I think there's some moments he really just doesn't even know. But do I think that he's wrong in stating what he's saying about the music industry? He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Everything that they've been doing since the 70s.
Go back further. Go back further.
I would go to the 20s, but I don't.
You might as well say since the 20s. I'm pretty sure Robert Johnson somewhere still rolling his grave because he got screwed on having the first ever album and still not getting paid properly for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been the thing. The issue is that every single time when Kanye does do something right, it's in the most inopportune moments, and it's in the most unsustainable foundations. Like, most of the time when he says something that makes sense, that this is an important moment for history, like, he just has no foundation at all.
You filed for this, bruh.
And and it's like, it's bad because when it came to this specific thing, it was like, he's not wrong, but nobody's gonna even take your side at this point because you've alienated everybody.
Yeah,
you've alienated the whole society around you that would have backed you if you did this when there was a great foundation behind you. And I'm not talking about money. I'm just talking about his mental sanity and his sustainability as a man. You know what I'm saying? And that's just something that he's been lacking, bro. Like, every single time, it never fails. He's always done something and said something that made sense, but I couldn't even take it seriously. I couldn't even like keep it with handling whether or not he meant it or whether or not he was just spitballing, you know? And that's kind of how I'm feeling about this. I mean, it definitely was a terrible metaphor, him sitting there pissing on a Grammy.
I love it.
I mean, he's not the first. He's not the first musical artist to do that.
I loved it. Somebody drank cognac out of a Grammy once.
In 5 years, we've seen many musical artists either having Jay-Z drink alcohol out of a Grammy. We've had other ones trash and throw them in the trash. We've seen them destroy them because they're finally realizing that the system that's in place is not for them. Now, Mo, I'm gonna let you close out this topic.
Oh man, thank you. I love it.
What are your thoughts on Mr. West? Not alone his ideas here, but that he has recently had some artists come out and agree with him.
Yes,
and bring up that this is a fight that needs to be fought.
Yes.
Granted, it may not be Kanye West, the person that you need to fight the fight, but with someone as big as a voice as he has, that gets attention no matter what, that they are grateful that someone this big is speaking up on it.
I'm gonna say, first thing I'm gonna say is, damn, it took long enough for this to, like, it's always something with the music industry, like every 3 years where someone comes out and is like, yo, I don't like what's going on with my deal. But it's always someone you just
let me quickly cut off. Let's say a year, because it was about a year ago to this day that Taylor Swift came out and literally blasted and said the exact same thing that Kanye West is currently saying.
But it's always someone who man, you know what? Ain't nobody trying to hear you right now. Like, what's the next song? What's the next hottest thing out there? and not trying to say Taylor Swift isn't someone who's huge, but it's just Taylor Swift is someone who's huge and has a lot of advantages. She's a white woman, so nobody's really gonna whatever. Kanye West
makes the greatest music of all time. Is that what you're trying to say, sir?
But Kanye West is one of the biggest voices in music. And if we're gonna be honest, everything he does is kind of like Sam was saying, it's kind of like exorbitant. It's kind of huge. Like he announced he was gonna run for president, and he wasn't joking because he actually put his name on a couple ballots.
Look, hey. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish your thought, Mo. I'm gonna let you. Unlike Kanye, I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
You know, it's just Kanye West is so boisterous that when he does things, sometimes people think he's like a joke. But this is a huge, important issue. It wasn't long ago when Meg came out with her deal and said she didn't like her deal. So it's something, and we just whatever, Meg. You know, because she's new, so it's whatever, Meg. But Kanye is someone we're all gonna listen to, and it's someone we're all gonna take. You know what? Let me go look at my deal, or a couple. There was this producer that came out, and put a thread under Kanye's tweets and was like, "Yo,
Hit Boy,
yes,
Hit Boy, yeah, same thing.
All his Grammys and everything, but he can't
he has
get out
rights
of his
to none
deal,
of his music.
Bro.
Yeah,
and he owns none of it.
Who?
But then there was on the
Hit
reverse
Boy,
side,
the guy who just produced Nas' last album.
Yes, and then on the reverse side of it, though. There was an artist that came up under Kanye and said, I know you saying all this about other people and what they're doing to you, but aren't we all artists under you? Like, this is my deal with you and this is what I'm going through. So you can't sit here and be like, it's slavery and then turn around and do the same thing to us. And that's the only thing I'm going to call him out on is that if he's doing that to his own artists, then fuck you, Kanye. But seriously, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. One, that he's speaking up on it. I mean, probably no one is going to listen to Kanye, but we're going to take a closer look into what he's talking about, because it's Kanye, and right now he's blown up his social capital and nobody wants to fucking listen to him anymore. But it is a huge issue that we're going to pay attention to. And it's something that we're going to start telling new and up-and-coming artists, like, before you... get all the it doesn't matter how broke you get. Forget the chains for a second. Get all the lawyers and make sure they read through this. They comb through this and make sure nothing is tying you down. Make sure you own your stuff. And it's stuff like this that people are gonna start paying attention to. Actually, I don't think anyone is really gonna pay attention to, because 3 years from now or a year from now, another artist is gonna come out and be like, "Damn, I got screwed." The music industry's trash.
Okay. I'll end it here because I don't even know how to attack what Mo just said. So
it's nothing
the
to
way
attack.
I want to attack it. It's a way to attack it if it's not going to. But
just read. This is
not the show for it. It's not the show.
Read the tweet, man. All you need to do is read the tweet. Read the tweet.
I'll end it like this here. Every musical artist signs these horrible deals.
360 deals.
It's just that you normally have to have the money. Once you build enough capital, you can fight your deal. Kanye West, being, as he said earlier in his tweet, the second richest black man in this country, finally has the capital to fight his deal. Once you get the capital to fight your deal, you can attempt to get out of these deals. What he has yet to understand is the power that he has Other artists don't. Some of them need to sign these horrible contracts that they do
to get up
because they need to build up to the point of a Kanye West. When your primary money source is no longer music, you can make these moves. It's the same move that Jay-Z made when his primary source was no longer music and he was able to get back his stuff. It's the same deal that P. Diddy made when his primary source wasn't music. Bring up Diddy. And he was able to get back his other stuff, even though he did it while still enslaving.
When is Mace going to make his deal? When is Mace going to make his deal?
Never.
Well, I said build up the capital. Get it at this point. Speaking of building up the capital to get things. Now, this is a very touchy subject that we're going to touch on. And the reason we're going to touch on it because we have seen some flagrant behaviors in the last 3 weeks to a month from Hollywood and Hollywood in general. With Antebellum, Lovecraft Country, the Golden Girls Black reboot, and now the Friends Black reboot. Is it time to start holding Hollywood accountable for pandering to Black people without producing new substantial material for Black folks to work on? So, it's going to start here with Mr. Leggett on his thoughts about the pandering that is currently going on in this industry with Black people, because I'm starting with you, and Sam, I'm starting with you because I know your opinions on Antebellum and how angry that movie made you. I know your opinions about Lovecraft Country because we actually do a review on Lovecraft Country, so I know your views on that. So, sir, what do you think about the pandering that is currently going on to Black America by Hollywood?
Man.
Sam to be lost for words.
Yeah, because okay, so the Antebellum movie really did trigger me, man. It really did, like, emotionally compromise me in the negative way. Certain aspects of Lovecraft and the way that they kind of constructed something that could have been really pivotal and essential. And especially, I went with my mom when she came up this past weekend, and she literally binge watched all the Watchmen by herself, and she was like, "This is amazing." Mm-hmm. And she understood why it was so amazing. She understood what was really going on. And Lovecraft Country could have went that route. It could have been written in a certain kind of way. And unfortunately is that we're being used. I mean, we're being basically used to sell and market and push, man, I don't even want to say agenda. But money.
Say it. The liberal agenda is being pushed through Black people. You can say it.
I don't want to go down that road. But look, I'm gonna say this as far as me speaking on Antebellum. Antebellum, at a certain point, when I looked at the trailers, I was like, okay, the concept is, you got a woman that is either one, is her ancestor, and this is her, or two, she's going back and forth. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna spoil anything. When the actual twist happened and I understood what was going on, I was filled with emotions where I was like, I'm being forced to feel a negative emotion on somebody that doesn't look like me. And it's being provoked given the way it's actually written, not necessarily through the circumstantial situation or the historic standpoint. It was like, no, like during what's going on in society right now, as much as you have people that are emotionally compromised, that are mentally spent and feel as though they are unsafe and fearful and filled with hate and anger, this movie provoked me to have this emotion. I was like, I don't want to go down this road. And it was kind of like, it was just so unnecessary and it was so intentional. It was all completely intentional, and it was agenda based, unfortunately, and the way that it kind of compromised me watching it. And I think a lot of these different shows and movies, they know that we're going to support our own. We're going to support our Black films. We're going to support our Black TV shows, regardless if they help push us into the right path or to a totally different path. They know that they're going to get their money's worth, and we're going to tune in. We're going to socially rant about it. And I think it is imperative that we find ways or getting people in the right point that have great ideas, great written understandings and comprehension of us as a people and minorities. And that should be the focus that should change the way that Hollywood uses us, because we're being used. And I don't really know any way around it, because we're not going to sit there and stop looking at these films. It's entertainment for us. Like, our kids are looking at it. We're immersed into it. It's a part of society in the way that movies and entertainment is built on the foundations right now. And so I don't really know how this is going to change. We could have, like, you know, different independent, like, directors and creators and writers try to position stuff, but these have to be greenlit by studios. These have to be greenlit by, you know, streaming services. And they might not, because that's not the narrative that Hollywood is going to surround, that's going to sell. And at a certain point, it's really going to fall on us to really speak up and say, look, we for years try to advocate, okay, we need more, you know, people of color on the Emmys. We need more people of color with these accolades, with these awards like the Oscars and the Golden Globes or whatever. Now it has to shift to, what is the main point now? If we're starting to see that change, okay, what is our narrative? What is it that's something that we can uplift each other in, from the way these stories are written and told from us, by us, about us, in a presentable way, not a demeaning and a demorring way. And I think that that's the problem that right now that I can see, but I don't even want, it's, go on somebody else. I'll speak on somebody else.
Wow. All right, Mo,
and I'm not going to do it.
I'm going to let you take it next, Mo. What are your thoughts about it?
All right. So, man, this is, damn. Okay. This is tough, because I want to say, on one hand, yes, fuck Hollywood for continuously thinking this is the only way to get the black audience, right? For continuously thinking that you want to oversell this image and this is the only way to do it. Because on one hand, in that same hand, you have, and this is in no way a slight to the community, to the LGBT community, you have LGBT films, you have LGBT characters who are just existing in their movies and just there, right? But for some reason, when it comes to black entertainment, it has to do with black suffering, blacks going through it. It has to be. And why can't we just have a lot of black entertainment that's just black people existing? Like, you know, Netflix just threw out a bunch of black movies, shows, right? And you go back and you watch Girlfriends, and it's just black people doing regular things and having regular lives. And you watch Moesha, and it's just a black teenager having a black teenage life, or just a regular teenage life or teenage existence, but she happens to be black. You understand? And I'm thinking, right? And on the other hand, now I'm looking at it as this: we're in this era of this wokeness, right? Woke black people, woke white people who feel, or all these woke people who think that there's only one way to connect to they just found their blackness, or the woke white people just found their light, and the only way to do it is to white guilt people, and they're going to play white guilt, and they're going to play on white guilt till they get their point across. And the woke black people are going to, yes, we got to punish whitey, and if you don't punish the white people enough, they're not going to see it. And I think that's where we're stuck in, right? We're stuck in this era, in this area of where the creatives are trying to be super woke, right? And then you have Hollywood on one hand saying this is probably all that sells, and you don't have enough either black creatives or white woke creatives that are saying, you know what, no, this is not the only thing that sells. Because again, you go back to Watchmen, Damon Lindelof, the creator of the show, did what he did and balanced the show out. My problem with Lovecraft Country, if Earth 2 does a review for it, is they beat you over the head with their message. Oh my God. It's supposed to be a horror thriller show, right? And the horror part of the show is racism. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is the scariest part of the show. It's not scary, there's no thriller in it, you know. And I sit back and I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna annoy some of your fans, and I'm sorry, but like, it's enough. We get it. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So why we always gotta watch it? Can we just have people just doing regular stuff because they're black people living? You know, regardless of how you want to look at it, there are people existing, and I want to see that. I'm existing. Granted, you know, I understand what's going on in society, and I don't have to, you know, like I see society, and then I come and I watch a movie, and then I see it too. It's like, yo, overload. I think Sam was alluding to that. It's just at some point, you know, Sam was saying, you know, there's people who are trying to balance their lives and what they're seeing in real life versus what they're seeing in entertainment. And it becomes an overload at some point. And I think the pandering or, you know, the white guilt or downward white, like that shit is kind of fucking exhausting. I'm over it. I'm tired. And I feel like at some point we also have to hold our black creatives up to a point where they're also responsible for the stuff that, you know, that we see. You know, I'm not going to sit back, you know, Jordan Peele is an executive director on Lovecraft Country. Are you going to tell me he has no say? Like it's just a name thing for him? Come on now.
Oh, I'm not commenting on.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Are you going to tell me he has?
On it. I'm not commenting.
Oh no, that was a rhetorical. Are you going to tell me he has no say on what's going on? You know, his movie was okay. Wasn't Antebellum his movie?
It was not.
He didn't direct
it. That's like the fourth time I've heard you say Antebellum is Jordan Peele's movie.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I've said it before. He's an EP on that. You know, it's getting to a point where okay, it comes through you before it goes to the studio. So, you know, hey, chill. Maybe this is not. Maybe you could. You know, like
I mean, Mo, do you think Hollywood really cares what narrative that black films come out, like what they're actually really about?
No, I don't think they, and that's the thing. I don't think they care. I think it's a we just want to make money. Like any Hollywood exec just wants to make money, wants to get returns on what they put money into. The thing is, it falls on the people who are our black creators who are high up, who've gotten in there to start changing the narrative. Because if you can't sell to these executives that, hey, this is going to still make, you know, black people are still gonna want, like was it Girls Trip? People didn't expect it to be as big as it was, but it was.
Okay, see now I'm just gonna go to Najir because you just brought up Girls Trip and I have so many issues with that movie. But go ahead, Najir.
You know what I'm trying to say. Let's see something different is what I'm trying to say.
With your thoughts on this topic.
Man, this was the triggering one. Let's see. So about the idea of this being pandering. Now I'm going to just start with the Emmys. I was about 200% sure that the Emmys was going to turn to the biggest affirmative action showcase of all time. I have nothing else to say about that. Think what you want. Antebellum. I knew Antebellum was going to create conversation. Think what you want. I have nothing to talk about with Lovecraft at all. I think it's all been said there.
You have nothing
at all. I feel like I done gave that way too much energy for my own well-being. But I will go into something that I think has been pretty important, and I think that you're talking about Girlfriends reboot and Friends. So I've said this so many different times to you all, but I'll just say it for the show. If the whole idea of these reboots are to, I don't know, get people to vote, I don't understand in my Jarrell emotions, because you know Jarrell be living it. I need to channel my Jarrell here. How in the world do you say I want to get my people to vote, but you go after shows that we didn't predominantly watch? If you want to bring something back,
are you asking
that we watch,
or are you just asking a question in general?
No, I got to answer. Why not bring Martin? I mean, yes. all those people are still around. I don't know. Fresh Prince. I mean, they all got together. Why not just do a short 15 minutes to get people to vote? Why not? I mean, people are already talking about it because they're hyped. I mean, hell, if you actually do want to go to a show that wasn't a predominantly black show, I'd do Seinfeld. Something that
don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. Don't worry about it.
I'm just confused. If the
I
whole
won't be surprised if
idea,
we get The Office next at some point.
so I'm not going to say exactly what comment was said, but one of y'all made a comment. That's exactly why Girlfriends and Golden Girls are the shows being done, because nothing else to say. Everything that's been mentioned about these things. I mean, I really, really like. I felt it. Like it's, oh man,
They too woke. They too woke.
Right.
You
So,
can say it.
The whole Girlfriends.
Golden Girls. Y'all keep
Golden
saying
Girls,
Girlfriends.
Golden Girls, Golden Girls and Friends.
Golden Girls, and then you're saying now they're doing a Black Friends, right?
Yes, a Black
Gabrielle
Friends
Union
episode
and
about
Kurt.
voting.
Stop.
So why? Like, I mean, no. I know that's a really open, broad question, but who came up with this idea and narrative? Because I don't think it would be us to do this.
Yes,
I don't think we would be like.
Thank you.
I don't think I would be like, yo, get the Golden Girls, and we're gonna get some Black. You know,
Thank you Sam, for translating my thoughts. Thank you. That's exactly it.
And
Right?
this is where I differ with everyone, with you and Sam.
I'll say this here.
It was
9 times out of 10, it was a white board that came to Black people and said, "Hey, we got this idea. We want to do an episode of the Golden Girls with an all-Black cast, or we're friends with an all-Black cast. How about you get up some of your Black buddies, and then you all get on a Zoom call and do this episode?" And they said, "Sure." What's it for? Well, we want to get people to come out and vote. And they said, "Oh, sure, we can do that," because in their head, this is the only way to get Black people to vote, which speaks on a bigger issue altogether. And I'll try to close this out here so we can end this show. First things first, as it comes to Hollywood pandering to Black people, Hollywood has been pandering to Black people since the 70s. What happened is they took our film genres that we started and morphed it into something to make money, whether it was Blaxploitation, and then they made jokes based off of that, whether it be our 80s comedies, our 80s hip-hop shows, they built off of that, built up some different to make money off of that, whether it was the 90s, where we had amazing comedies, amazing shows, amazing movies, and all they did was take those, white them up a little bit, and repackage it with different Black people to make you go out and see it. As of late, when it became Black films and Black entertainment, my biggest issue has always been they take a white movie, put an all-Black cast to it, and we go see it. So when you come to making this Friends reboot, when you come to making this Golden Girls reboot, and they do the exact same thing, how can we be mad when we have gone out and supported Obsessed? We've gone out and supported that movie with Taraji and Idris Elba. We've gone out and supported movies with Michael Early. We've gone out and supported movies with Kevin Hart. These are all movies that were white movies, and then they switched it and gave us an all-Black cast, and we ran to the theaters. We run to the television to see it. And that's our fault. We have to hold ourselves accountable first. When it comes to our Black creators, we hold you accountable for not sticking to your project.
Thank you.
I love the point when Ava said the reason she did not take Black Panther on as the director, because she was offered it and she turned it down, because she said they don't want me to make my movie, they want me to make their movie. You need those creatives who decide to say, my goal, my vision, that's what I'm going after. If you can't support me in that, I will go on to something else. The issue is right now, we don't have too many Black creators who say that. We have Issa with Insecure. She clearly says that. That's the way her show is built around. We have the movie Uncorked that came on Netflix. I felt with
French guy.
Pentis Penny. Am I saying his name right, Nigeria? Yeah. Same thing. It was his vision, and he came up with it and said, this is what we're going to go by. Right now, it just seems that we don't have that same energy and those same thoughts.
All the way across the board,
to movie like Antebellum, that is the worst form of pandering humanly possible, by making a Black film to make you hate white people and make you go see it. It's literally a blueprint that Hollywood has been following for years, and we keep on falling for it. We still have not learned this blueprint yet. And guess what? All they did was repackage it. They took it from the slavery movie to the Get Outs to Antebellum, and we keep on falling for the same thing. thing over and over again until we demand Black creators who decide to say, my goal, my vision, that's what I'm going after. If you can't support me in that, I will go on to something else. The issue is right now, we don't have too many Black creators who say that. We have to hold ourselves accountable first. When it comes to our Black creators, we hold you accountable for not sticking to your project. So when you come to making this Friends reboot, when you come to making this Golden Girls reboot, and they do the exact same thing, how can we be mad when we have gone out and supported Obsessed? We've gone out and supported that movie with Taraji and Idris Elba. We've gone out and supported movies with Michael Early. We've gone out and supported that movie with better entertainment, better television shows, better films, things of this nature. With a black voice behind it, there is no incentive for a studio to actually do it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another episode of The Rundown with Lou. This will debut, I'm going to point to my producer, I believe it debuts Wednesday on YouTube on Big Gold Belt, and it will debut Friday, I believe,
all audio
on
platforms.
JVS. And all audio platforms. Yes, all audio platforms. You can check us out. Peace, people.